The story of Wahab Riaz doesn't begin in a shining stadium or under floodlights. It begins in the burning streets of Lahore, where cricket was not just a sport, but an escape. The year was the late 1980s, and young Wahab, with the ball in his hand and a dream in his eyes, had no idea that one day his roar would echo across the world's biggest stages. As a child, he wasn't born into luxury. His family, like many in Pakistan, valued hard work more than anything. His father, a disciplined man, believed in education, not cricket. But for Wahab, every broken wall was a wicket. Every narrow street was a stadium. He bowled with intensity, with fire, sometimes to nobody at all. It was as if he was trying to prove something to the world, or maybe to himself. Every rejection from school teams, every missed selection, only made him hungrier. There were days when he'd come home with torn shoes and blistered fingers. Nights when he lay awake, staring at the ceiling, whispering to himself, "One day, they'll know my name." That fire, that restlessness, became his identity. But Lahore's cricket scene was brutal. Talent wasn't enough. You needed patience, persistence, and luck. Wahab had the first two, the third he was still chasing. His breakthrough came when he caught the attention of selectors during local tournaments. His pace wasn't just fast, it was angry. He bowled with the kind of rage that made batsmen uncomfortable. By 2008, the world had started to notice. The boy from Lahore was no longer just a dreamer. He was a storm waiting to be unleashed. But what nobody knew was, every storm, no matter how fierce, faces calm before chaos. Wahab was about to enter the most defining years of his life. It was the 2011 World Cup. Pakistan versus India, a rivalry older than many of the players themselves. The stage was set in Mohali, and the world held its breath. Amidst giants and legends, one man burned brighter, Wahab Riaz. He wasn't supposed to be the headline that day. Yet destiny, it seemed, had other plans. As he took the ball in his hand, something changed. His eyes narrowed, his heartbeat steadied, and then came the roar. What followed would go down as one of the most electrifying spells in World Cup history. Wahab tore through India's batting lineup like a storm breaking through calm skies. He dismissed Sehwag, Kohli, Yuvraj one after another, leaving even the commentators speechless. Every delivery was raw fire. Every wicket was a declaration. I belong here. In that spell, Wahab didn't just bowl. He spoke. His eyes told stories of the streets he came from. The sweat, the hunger, the rejections. Every ball was revenge against every no he had ever heard. But as fate often does, it gave glory and heartbreak in the same breath. Despite Wahab's heroics, Pakistan lost that semi-final. As India celebrated, Wahab stood silent, head bowed, heart shattered. Yet, in that silence, the world saw something else. Respect. He had fought like a warrior. From that day, Wahab Riaz was no longer just another fast bowler. He was the symbol of Pakistan's passion. A man whose aggression, emotion, and heart reminded everyone why cricket is not just a game, it's a feeling. But life doesn't run on highlights alone. After the fame came inconsistency. The world that once cheered him began to doubt him. Injuries came. Criticism came louder. He's finished, some said. Yet, the boy from Lahore, the dreamer of dust and heat, wasn't done. Deep inside, a fire still burned, one that no failure could put out. Years passed, and Wahab Riaz found himself standing at crossroads. Critics called him inconsistent. Some said he was all aggression, no control. The cheers had faded, the spotlight had dimmed, but Wahab was not built to fade quietly. He trained harder than ever, running endless laps, sweating through lonely mornings, bowling under a burning sun with no crowd to cheer him on. For him, cricket was not about fame anymore. It was about redemption, about proving not to the world, but to himself, that the fire still burned. Then came the 2015 World Cup. Pakistan versus Australia. A new challenge, a new chance. The world still remembers that spell, not for wickets, but for spirit. Wahab bowled with a fury that transcended statistics when he faced Shane Watson. It wasn't just a contest between bat and ball, it was pride against arrogance. Over after over, Wahab's eyes blazed with vengeance. He hurled bouncers that made the crowd gasp. Watson ducked, smiled, survived. But the world cheered for Wahab. It wasn't about who won the match anymore. It was about heart. And that day, Wahab Riaz reminded the world what it meant to play with heart. Even the great Shane Watson later admitted, "That was the best spell I've ever faced." But the world of cricket is cruel. A single great performance doesn't guarantee peace. After the World Cup, Wahab battled injuries, selection doubts, and mental exhaustion. Sometimes, he'd sit in an empty dressing room, staring at his gear, wondering if his time had passed. And yet, every time he was written off, he came back faster, stronger, angrier, like fire refusing to die out. Because Wahab Riaz wasn't just bowling with his arm, he was bowling with his soul. In the twilight of his career, Wahab Riaz had nothing left to prove. Yet, he kept running, for the jersey, for the people, for the little boy who once dreamed under the Lahore sun. He became more than a fast bowler. He became a symbol of defiance. In every comeback, every return from injury, there was a story of a man who refused to accept that his best days were behind him. Even as younger players took the spotlight, Wahab's presence remained magnetic. His energy lifted teammates. His voice echoed in dressing rooms, not as arrogance, but as belief. He taught that passion could be louder than pain, and spirit could outlast fame. When he led Lahore Calendars and later represented Peshawar Zalmi in the PSL, fans saw the same spark, eyes burning, heart roaring. His run-up wasn't just physical, it was emotional, almost spiritual. Every delivery felt like a message to those who had doubted him. "I'm still here." But behind the fire was wisdom. Wahab matured into a mentor, guiding younger bowlers, teaching them how to control their storms. He knew what it meant to be forgotten, and he made sure no one in his shadow ever felt the same. And then came his emotional announcement, stepping away from international cricket. For millions, it felt like an era ending. But Wahab didn't walk away defeated. He left as a warrior, scarred, tired, but proud. His legacy wasn't just in wickets or numbers. It lived in moments, in the roar at Mohali, in the spell against Watson, in the courage to rise after every fall. He showed the world that talent makes you known, but resilience makes you legendary. Wahab Riaz, the name that once echoed through Lahore's dusty streets, became a reminder to dreamers everywhere. Even if the world forgets you, never forget your fire.